Hey, what's going on, everybody? Eyes Rise here. Just a quick little UFC podcast, little scrim throughout all of my wonderful, not really important opinions and facts. UFC 222 on the 3rd, this Saturday. In Vegas, we got Chris Cyborg versus Yana Kuntsakaya. She is the old Invicta 145-pound champ, and they brought her over from their little Invicta like women's league, I guess it is. I see a lot of people coming over for fights. They just had Chris Cyborg just fought Tanya Evinger, who used to be the champ. Yana beat her to win the championship. So, Chris Cyborg versus Yana. It's going to be a fun little fight. Yana's a pretty scrappy girl. She's training out of Jackson Winklejohn out in, Albuquerque, New Mexico. And she has Holly Holm in her corner. So Holly Holm just fought Chris Cyborg and lost a unanimous decision, but nonetheless, she was in there for 5 rounds with pound for pound the best women's champion ever. Chris Cyborg, 19-1. She's 4-0 in the UFC, and 2 of those have now been for the belt. The belt she won against Tanya Evinger, and then her first title defense was against Holly Holm. Obviously, she won both. She's 32 years old, 5'8". She's an amazing striker. She probably can beat up most of the guys at 145, and that's not even a joke. She has a 72% striking accuracy, and she also has amazing ground and pound. She has a Brazilian black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so even if it does go to the ground, it's not like, she's a slouch down there. Super explosive, really big for a girl. Obviously, she had a little bit of a past with the steroids, but neither here nor there. You can't take anything away from her. She hasn't failed a drug test since, and now she's in the UFC, so she's getting slammed by Nasada and everything. So, Yana Kuntsakaya, she's I don't really know. She's a Russian. They're all hard nosed and beasts, so it's not going to be a walk in the park for Cyborg. And then Holly Holm has just fought 5 rounds with Cyborg, so she's kind of got a little bit of an inside scoop on how to possibly defeat her. We'll see, but she's 10-3. She's 28 years old. She's 2 inches shorter, standing at 5'6". Chris Cyborg's at 5'8". And like I said, she was the champ over in Invicta. They brought her over as a last-minute replacement because Max Holloway fell out of the championship fight against Frankie Edgar. But she's super well-rounded. You can't really say much bad about her in any way, shape, or form. I don't think she really has any bad part of her game. She got super determined in all aspects of the fight game. She never gives up, even when she's behind on a judge's scorecard. And then, she's only lost 3 times. She's really young in the sport. And, being 28 years old, she still has her good years to come, most likely. Probably early 30s, she'll hit her peak. And who knows? She might hit it this Saturday. We'll see. The co-main event, which was supposed to be the main event, was Frankie Edgar and Max Holloway. Unfortunately, Max Holloway broke his foot or something like that, broke a toe or something. And they decided that it probably wouldn't be a good idea to try to fight Frankie Edgar injured, which makes a lot of sense. Frankie's a beast, and he's fighting Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega is a young, up-and-coming stud, man. He's been in the UFC for 5 fights now. He has this is his claim to fame. He has the world record for the most third-round finishes coming from behind in the judges' scorecard. thought that was kind of funny that he actually enjoys that fact. I guess it's kind of cool. Frankie Edgar, he used to be a champion at 155. The dude's a stud, man. He's been in the UFC for, what is it here, 22 fights. I think he's going to be tying a record here at 23 for the weight class. 36 years old, 5'6", like I just said, 22 fights in the UFC. He's 21-5-1 overall. His only losses have come in the UFC, and it's to studs. Benson Henderson, Gray Maynard was his first loss ever, and then Jose Aldo. All, very notable names. 37% striking accuracy and a 58% takedown accuracy. His wrestling's amazing. His cardio is great, and he's super well-rounded. His transitions are incredible. And then, he comes from a really great camp out in New Jersey. Actually just opened up his own UFC gym. UFC gym, not just Frankie Edgar gym. He's sponsored by the UFC, so that's, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer when he finally decides to hang up the gloves and go on to the next chapter of his life. But he's fighting a young, hungry, and so far super incredible fighter in Brian Ortega. He's 13-0, 27 years old, so he's not even in his prime yet. He's 5'8". He's 5-0 in the UFC. He has 30% striking accuracy and 65% submission accuracy. His ground game is insane. His jiu-jitsu is super high level. He's Gracie trained. I think it's his coach is Renan Gracie, I believe it is, out in California. But just really, really incredible guy. He's beat Clay Guida. His last fight, he just beat Cub Swanson. And Cub Swanson's no slouch either. Frankie Edgar, obviously, a stud in his own rights, being a former champion. He's also beat Cub Swanson. He's been in there with the likes of pretty much everybody that's a who's who in the lower levels of 155 and 145 weight classes. That's going to be a fun fight to watch. Let's see, the next fight at 135 pounds, we got Sean O'Malley coming from the Dana White, what is that show? Dana White Champion Series or something like that. Really young, hungry guy. He's 23 years old. He's 5'11" for 135 pounds. That's pretty big. 2-0 in the UFC, 68% striking accuracy, 32% takedown accuracy. Super, tough mentally, great IQ for the game, obviously still young, but he has all that swagger and confidence, and he brings it in every time and goes for finishes. Great hands. The dude's got some speed and isn't afraid to stand and bang. He's fighting I don't even know how to say this guy's name, Andre Sukumth. He's 12-5, 27 years old, 5'8", 5-0 in the UFC, so he's no slouch either. Has a great ground game, stand up and transitions pretty good from switching from the wrestling and ground game to his stand up. He sets up very well. 30% striking accuracy, which isn't all that great, but once he gets you to the ground, 65% submission accuracy. So usually when he throws something up, he's grabbing on and holding. So that'll be fun to see how that goes. It's the the age-old fight. What is it? Hands versus ground game. Throwing hands. Every fight starts from a standing position. So we'll see how that goes. It should be fun to watch. And then we have I don't want to call him old because he's only 30 years old, but he's been in the UFC for 19 fights. Stefan Struve, the tallest fighter in the UFC at 7 feet, maxes out at the 265 pounds for the heavyweight division. He actually walks around at 280 though. He's a real big guy. He's fighting Andrei Arlovski, the ex-champ. He's kind of had a rough patch here as of late, and he won his last fight, but I think he was either four. I think it was a 4-fight losing streak there for a while. So we'll see how it goes. It's still going to be a fun fight. I mean, it doesn't really have anything to do with the title picture at the heavyweight division or anything like that. But great stand-up guys. Stefan Struve, like I said, 30 years old. He's got a record of 32-9, 12-7 in the UFC. 25% striking accuracy, which he actually has worked on his striking a lot. Obviously, being a Dutchman, he has great kickboxing, so seeing a 25% striking accuracy is kind of embarrassing. But he has amazing submissions. Everybody figures, being a Dutchman, he's going to be a good kickboxer. Then he throws up those huge legs, being 7 feet, and then he throws out submissions, and it's crazy trying to block that. Andrei Arlovski, he's known as a knockout artist. He's 26-15 overall, 39 years old, so he's kind of long in the tooth. He's definitely getting old, but it's a big guy still, 6'4". He's 15-9 in the UFC. He used to be the heavyweight champ. His striking accuracy is 61%, so that's always a barn burner with Andrei Arlovski. He throws for the fences. And then he's in a new camp in Florida now, so we'll see if he's learned anything new. 27% submission accuracy. I honestly don't think I've ever seen him submit anyone. Actually, that's a lie. I think he submitted Tim Sylvia for either the belt or their second fight. Super dangerous striker. And then he's a Russian. He comes with an amazing grappling background, and I believe he was like a world champion or something like that in grappling. But definitely a fun fight to watch. Watch the old guys try to bang, and see how it goes from there. We got the next fight in the 135 women's division: Kat Zingano versus Ketlin Vieira. Kat Zingano is 9-2 overall. She's 35 years old, 5'6", 2-2 in the UFC. One of those losses is to Ronda Rousey, so you can't really be too upset about that. 47% submission accuracy, 37% takedown accuracy. She's super aggressive. She's on a very strict diet right now. If you follow her online and all, she's shredded. She's ripped up right now. So she's definitely in really good shape. Very well-rounded, and she's been working on her hands a lot, so her stand-up has improved incredibly. Ketlin Vieira, 9-0, so definitely no slouch there. We'll see how that goes. She's 3-0 in the UFC, has not lost yet. 26 years old, so 9 years younger than Kat. She's 5'8", so she has 2 inches in height on her. 27% striking accuracy, 30% submission accuracy, and 42% in the takedown accuracy. She has a background in judo and jiu-jitsu, so it'll be a fun fight to watch. Again, you got striker versus jiu-jitsu, but at the same time, Kat Zingano is, I believe she's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, and then with a 47% submission accuracy. So let's see, Chris Cyborg versus Yana. I got to go with Chris. Cyborg, obviously. She's a beast, but it'd be fun to watch Yana win this fight. That'd be incredible. Frankie Edgar versus Brian Ortega. I got to go with Frankie. Brian Ortega is young. He's hungry, but the last time Frankie fought someone that was young and hungry with an incredible record, who was that? Yair Rodriguez, I believe it was. He beat him. Literally closed up his left eye, and they had to call the fight because Frankie was just pounded on him. But I got to go with Frankie. Brian Ortega is going to probably be a champion someday. It's just not right now. Sean O'Malley versus Andre. I got to go with Sean. He's talking a big game. He's been backing it up so far, so I can't get too mad at the guy now and go off on him. So I think he's going to pull it through. Stefan Struve versus Andrei Arlovski. Honestly, I really don't care who wins this. I know it's going to be a fun stand-up battle, but I'd like to see Andrei Arlovski win it. I know he's old and he's been in the UFC. This is his second stint in the UFC, and he kind of went through a little bit of a bad luck run there for a little bit, but I like watching him fight. I like watching the guys from when I first started watching the UFC, still in there and hanging with the young guys and whooping up on them. So I'd like to see Andre Arlovski win that. Kat Zingano versus Ketlin Vieira. I want to see Kat Zingano win it. I think she's an incredible fighter. She has a great personality when she talks on the mic, and I'd like to see more of her. I think she's been fighting like once or twice a year because she was hurt for a little while, but it'd be nice to see her, get a little consistency going in the UFC and win this so she can start running towards the top again. That's pretty much it. We got some really good cards coming up after this, so stay tuned. If you have any suggestions or anything you want to talk about, I'll talk about any sports. I don't get into politics or anything like that because no one really cares what I think, and honestly, I don't care what you think about politics. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If, like I said, if you have any suggestions, hit me up. I'll be around. So Ice Rice out. Have a good one.